For sure, for sure. Well, hi everyone. My name is Anna Abramova. I am originally from Russia, so I start with that because my last name, my accent, you get confused. And I'm actually in LA. And I mean, I travel between LA and San Diego a lot, so I forget which city I'm in. Today I'm in San Diego. And I am part of this awesome crew at SQL DBM, or SQL Database Modeling Tool. We are very, very young. The company is about 3 years old, and the first 2 years were actually all in beta. So they're just figuring out the product, developing it, and then the last year was actually, okay, we're up on the market. We have a paid version. We are acquiring customers. Today, the tool itself has about 100,000 users across the globe. I think we surpassed this number already last month, so we're over that. And then we're covering many countries. I forget the number, and more than 15,000 different companies use SQL DBM for data modeling, specifically databases and data warehouses. So my kind of journey here with them, I joined about 2 months ago, even though my LinkedIn says a little longer. But we kind of we met each other on LinkedIn, and I was like, guys, you have a cool product. You're very smart tech people. Do you need to help with just kind of the business side? And that's why I help customers just kind of understand the high level, and I do have enough technical background to show you a demo as well, so that you can see the tool and define whether it's a fit for you or not. If it is, awesome, I help you to get set up. If it's not, well, hopefully you just learn something new. That's pretty much about it. And in terms of the tool itself, usually the kind of the ideal customer, I guess, is someone who deals with databases. Would it be a database administrator, a data architect, or maybe someone who just leads an entire team, engineering team or data science team? So it's very broad. Obviously, any company today, you don't have to be a tech company to have a lot of data. You could be having like a just store. You could be Costco. You still have customers' data since you have the membership. And then yeah, pretty much any company out there. We work with consultants a lot, and then we work with the teams specifically. So if you guys were a team of maybe data architects somewhere in the Fortune 5000, and you were using maybe Snowflake or any other SQL-based database, you'd be looking at SQL DBM to help you visualize. So you know how there are visualizing tools like Tableau or Power BI where you have those pretty graphs and everything? So a step before that is just raw data, right? And then you have the data warehouse, you build those nice graphs. But before that, you gotta organize your data warehouse first. And you can just write it out on a sheet of paper, but then you would need maybe to write all over your office on the walls, because it's such a tremendous amount of data you're working with. So a tool like ours, obviously there are other tools, we're just the newest one out there. A tool like ours helps you to have it all on your computer screen. That's about it. So yeah, with that, I think I can just jump into a quick demo of the tool if you're good.
Well, I think so quickly, I don't know, did that help, Patrick? Like, I guess I'm also curious, I think I have a good sense of who your customers are, but I'm curious, A, how are you either finding them, or B,
Oh yes,
how are
that
they
one.
finding you?
Mm-hmm. I think for today, it's 50-50. We do a lot of outbound. I pretty much either talk to people on LinkedIn or just kind of talk to our partners, see if there's anyone they have who I should talk to. And then a lot of current users are coming to us and they're like, well, I'm using a free version. There's that paid version. Can you tell me more and show me a demo? So it's 50-50 as of today.
Do you have, are you like working out of CRM? Do you have like an engagement tool like Outreach or anything like that? Are you sending emails or something?
As of today, we're using a free version of HubSpot to kind of just store all the contacts. But obviously, for the free version, it doesn't give you too much flexibility. Yeah, one day definitely going to expand. But as of today, I tell you the truth, the sales team is one person. This is me.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Um,
The only other question I would ask is like, I think I've got a very like broad understanding of who you're trying to talk to and what you're trying to do. If you
Mhm.
could give me any, like maybe just one or two specific person, like people, or like even a customer story or something like that, somebody you've already brought through the pipeline.
Customer story. I have to let me think whose name I
I
can
hate to
talk
put you on the
about.
spot. I know like customer stories for me are like the best way to try to understand, you know?
Well, and I would say maybe if you're saying maybe I shouldn't use the customer's name on the call, I think even if you,
Yeah.
customer or company, ABC towing,
Yeah.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Company in XYZ industry
Yeah.
is using it for this.
Sure. So, let me think. Okay, so, customer, their membership-based gym. Their membership-based gym,
Okay.
so they have lots of members come in on a monthly basis, right? And then you store the data, okay, your name, last name, like when did you last come into exercise with us? What subscription are you paying? Are you doing a family subscription, or is it just you yourself? So all of that data that potentially you have about a customer, or not just customer, all of the data you have about the company, like where are we storing our internal company records, what it's just, I know it's just so broad, like maybe I'm not even touching on every point, but the customer one is the one that's closer to me to understand as an example.
So Anna, question for you, and then I'd love for you to jump in. Your customer is basically any organization that has a large volume of data, whether it's already presently in a database system or it needs to be. Is that right? What I'm understanding?
Yeah.
Okay.
You would still, as a customer, you would still, either you're looking to start using a database system, or you're already using one and trying to migrate from one to another.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally, you have your data in SQL code, and then we just show it to you in table view.
Okay.
So you're just basically
Yep.
visualizing the code.
Mm-hmm.
Or the other way around, maybe you don't have your code yet. You build it in our tool with tables. You build the tables, and then we give you the code.
Okay. Yep, that makes sense.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah. And then also, let's say you're using Snowflake, but you were looking to transfer to, let's say, Azure, or maybe Amazon Redshift, and you didn't like, for some reason, Snowflake didn't work out for your purposes and you wanted another database type. So all of them have a little bit different format of how they store data and how they work with it. And then what we would do is, instead of writing it out all yourself, you just use SQL DBM, plug the code into it, and then we'll give you new formatting for that new database.
Okay,
So
to make it
just,
easier to read as well, to easier to see everything within the database.
Right. It's very niche. So I would tell you right away, we're a very niche product. It's like you have your pipeline and like many projects, and this is like one little tool that helps you along the way. And even if you compare our prices with like price of actual data warehousing, we're like that little tiny piece that you pay, and the little software that you use, but that enhances your overall performance and your visualization of like, okay, what data am I actually working with? Is there finance data, customer data, or what is it? So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. All right.
Helpful. Thank you.
I have one more question, or one more clarification, just so I know, just from so I kind of disseminate between things. When you're looking for clients, are you looking for manager level who are just managing data scientists, or are you looking at that C-level executive who's going to disseminate that across the entire organization, or for all their data scientists, or folks like that?
That's a great question. I'm still figuring that part out. I've tried both ways. Sometimes it's that one data architect, he just looks at our tool and he likes it, and then he just tells his entire team about, and then we just bring in the management for approval. Sometimes I would talk to right away the higher level and see, hey, do you think this would be helpful for your team? And then they could tell me. So both ways work. I'm not sure. I'm still figuring out which one is the best. Which pathway we should be going.
And I think Francois and I could talk to you about that a little bit after as well, because I'm in the same, I sell a very niche IT product. And so I sell it from a technical standpoint, and I also have to sell it to the executive team on the business side. So I have to do both the technical and the business. So, you're saying data architects and scientists and all of that. And I'm like, yep, I get that. Those are the people that I talk to too. So, yeah, definitely. But I'm excited to see it. And then we can help you kind of break it down from there and give you some advice moving forward. So
yes,
you want
yes,
to share
please.
your screen and you can jump in.
Sounds good. And while I'm sharing the screen, I'll also tell you two things. One, I'm not that technical as our technical lead. So when I give a demo, I just talk about maybe a little bit high level. So I don't go into specifics that much. And I don't know if it's good or bad. It's just I'm still kind of learning all of it. And then number two is I'm still figuring out what's the best way to approach this because I've sold and maybe that's something I didn't mention, but I had it on my intro. I've already sold a couple different SaaS-based products. I've been on different, sales and business development teams. And every demo is a different one, right? For different products, there are different things that you need to highlight. This one is a pretty low price tag, so I know it does need to be 5 different meetings with 10 different decision makers. One call is enough. Sometimes what's even better if not I'm showing the product, but if the customer actually tries it out themselves, they'll be able to tell me within 5 minutes if this is something that's going to save them time and money and make their life easier, or if this is something out of the scope. So I'm trying to maximize the value of my time and time of my potential client to not talk to them for an hour about something they don't need. So finding those main points to hit is still something in the works. So definitely after, I would love for you to tell me, hey, this was too much. I bought on minute number 5, or hey, this wasn't enough. I would love you to talk more about this aspect. Sound good?
Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm sharing my screen if you can see it right now.
Yep.
Awesome. So here's SQL DBM. I'm going to talk to you about a couple different features that we offer, and I'll use the website for right now, and then we'll jump into a quick demo. So SQL DBM is working with a couple of different agencies and also companies. Whoever works with data, you'd come to us if you need help visualizing it. We are an official partner of Snowflake. We have them right here, but Snowflake is not the only data warehouse we work with. We work with SQL Server, MySQL, Postgre, and Amazon Redshift. Azure Synapse is coming as well next month, so that's something I'm personally looking forward to because I don't know much about them, so I'll be learning along the way. The features that are mainly helpful are all around working with your SQL code and just visualizing how your database looks. So it's all about intuitive design. It's all about drag and drop. We do have a dark or light theme. I always joke that, we're just like Facebook. And then you can work either with your entire database or have your specific subject areas. You have view modes, so you could actually jump from one part of your database to another. And the big focus of ours is collaborating with your team. So it's not just a one person job to build an entire data warehouse. So you with SQL DBM, you can actually share your projects and collaborate together. So you can work on the code, have revisions, pretty much kind of work. If you're 10 people, 20 people, doesn't matter. You can do it all in one tool, just like Asana, but for your code. And then comparing revisions, exporting your diagrams, and converting one type of project to another. Those are all the main things. I'll send this page after all as well, but rather than talking about it, I really want to show it. So you can do it yourself too, and I'll invite you to do it right after our call. So you just go here try designing online for free. You open up a project. You don't even have to create an account. You literally just start with a sample project if you wanted to. And so that's what I'm going to do for the purposes of our demo. You see all of our little options right here. I'll pick Snowflake since it's my favorite, and I'll open a sample project for Snowflake. So when you think about it, okay, I have just many lines of code. I have to think about what that code represents. Well, at the end of the day, all of your code is literally just a bunch of tables put together. They have relationships. They have certain data. They have the tables have those headings, and then you have the keys. But the all we're talking about is just a couple of tables put together. So here you can drag and drop items. You can add a new, I'm sorry, I'm getting a phone call. I apologize. You can add a new table. You can actually look at the high level view and look only at the header level. You could actually change the view, look at keys only. You could look at descriptions. If maybe descriptions are not there, you can always enter them and say, hey, I'm going to say this is supplier data. And then let me go back to the main view. So this is pretty much the basic functionality, but I'll walk you through all of those features we talked about. And I'm not gonna jump into them from the technical standpoint. I'm going to just kind of mention what they do, okay? So here in the bottom, I'll start with this one, reverse engineer. So pretty much what you do is you import your existing database. So let's say you have a SQL code in your Snowflake that represents a certain area. You would take your DDL and import it here. And from that, and again, I don't have the setup to go through the process, but I will send you a sample project so that you could actually import your own DDL and see an example. So this is basically just reverse from code to such table view. Another one is forward engineer. This is the other way around. This is pretty much just taking this table and making a code out of it. The other one is compare revisions. This one I'll have to make a couple changes here. So let me try and delete this one. So let's say I'm gonna delete this table. Oh, actually, sorry. Let me save real quick. So let me save this one so I can show you what it does. So I saved it. Now I'm gonna delete this specific table. So one of them I deleted from the model. And I'm going to save it again. And now I'm going to go and compare revisions. So what you see now is, okay, what happened? Maybe it was 5 different people working on a project. Myself, Anna, today I created my little database model. I have those little 5 tables, and then my colleague comes in and says, well, we actually don't need this data in there, so I'm gonna delete it. I would come in right after and see, okay, he went ahead and removed my one of the objects. I have the code here, and I have the name of the table as well. And then I can always jump from one revision to another if I wanted to restore it and say, hey, you shouldn't have deleted it. Or maybe I approve it and we just keep rolling. Another thing that we just introduced last month, and I'm still learning a little bit more about it. This is all about documenting your database, right? So I have my tables here. Yes, that's awesome. But I'm trying to make it a little bit more readable for my business side of the project. So I will be introducing, description to what specific key and what specific item represents. So let's say I'll put this, I'll just put sample everywhere. So sample, sample, sample. And then from the bigger standpoint, I would look at all the tables up here. If you see this little yellow light, it would mean that, well, it's not complete. If you see the green one, and it means your database documentation is complete for this specific table. And then the empty one obviously means you need to fill it out. And then the best part is that this looks just in as Excel format, and it really does export into Excel as well, so that when you submit, if you submit a picture of your database and you wanted to show it to your, let's say your BI specialist, you can just include a CSV file as well for them with descriptions. But this, whatever you put in here will also end up in your final SQL as well. So you can actually continue looking at it in Snowflake as well. So you're not just talking numbers and just subject names. You actually have like a long description if you needed to. And then, yeah, so you can jump around. You could look at the entire schema. You could, I'm moving around with just my mouse, really. There's this little get started icon that will walk you through all the main aspects of like how to navigate it. But my goal was just to show you how easy it is to look at it and how interesting it looks. Just because I believe, like, in comparison to like all other database models out there, ours is the most intuitive one, and it just looks more I guess newer so far. And that is what I've heard as the main opinion. Like, hey, this just looks not like a 1999 product. This looks like 2020 product. So yeah, I really, if you have a little example of a database you're working with and you wanted to pull it out of your SQL and see what we bring in, I'll send you a little link where you can do it. Obviously, no data is going to be saved. You can just do it once and then delete everything. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And I think I got too excited and didn't stop for questions, so I apologize. Let me open it up right now.
No, I think that was perfect to just run through it the way that you kind of would naturally on a call. So, I mean, that's gonna help us. So, I don't know, Zach, since you're our guest, do you want to start first and just give her just kind of an overview of your general thoughts, and we'll kind of go down the list. And
should I stop sharing? Sorry. Meanwhile,
actually, leave it up for now because we might have you kind of yeah.
Awesome.
Is Zach there?
Yeah, sorry,
Okay.
I muted myself.
It's okay. Yeah.
Normal virtual faux pas. Admittedly, a lot of this went over my head. You were able to simplify it a lot for me to actually consume SQL and data. I pretend that I know what I'm talking about there, but I don't most of the time. So this was helpful. This was actually really interesting. Loved in the beginning. Excuse me, before you got to the demo, you shared what the clients are doing, who you're partnering with, is instill some great value. The demo I thought was good. You definitely know the product very, very well. There was a lot of really interesting things. You're able to jump back and forth. One thing that I thought you could improve or work on is a lot of the stuff, and maybe it's just because I don't know the world at all very well, but a lot of stuff, like you showed something, like, oh, that's really cool, but I didn't really fully grasp why it's so great. So again, it's a lot of the former feature benefit. You just want to be able to tailor, this is what it's going to do and this is how it's going to impact you. I think you could add some of those and it'd be really great because you are super knowledgeable on the products and why. I just think making that a little more consumable to each person would be really helpful. And one other thing I wrote down as you're going through it is maybe, again, this is just the Gartner values that were drilled down into my head, but showed this awesome, great product. And then at the very end, you said, this is why it's so great. This is why I believe it's the best product for you. It's intuitive, it's newer, it's going to really fit you. I think bringing that earlier on or in the forefront or peppering that in as you're speaking to the product would be really beneficial, not just leaving it to the end. You're just kind of like burying the lead. I think adding that in the beginning to really set the stage, or as you go through, you could say, this is a lot more intuitive to help you better do X, Y, Z, and here's this great like database documentation, which you went through really well. Database documentation, here's how you can leverage that better. Here's the forward engineer, here's how you can leverage it better. It's a lot more intuitive. It's newer streamlines that better support you as you do tables and things of data that I don't understand.
Awesome.
Any thoughts on that? Anything you want me to elaborate on?
I think the why point is something I always forget because I know why. And then just saying it out loud is something just like skims my mind. So thank you for reminding that for sure.
You know what I do there is I literally write why or pain or story on a sticky and or
just
something.
put it on the laptop.
And the reason why is because, well, that's exactly what you say. And the reason why, or and one customer does this or had this pain, and this is how we solved it. And so using little reminders like, I mean, I have stickies all over the place. I'm like old school, but just putting something as simple as why, and as you walk through the demo, it'll just kind of help remind you to like, don't forget to include stories, because that's going to be my advice. But I'll let Patrick kind of jump in and give his take on it.
Yeah, right on. And Amy, I saw you nodding in a lot of the same points where I was picking something up. So I think we're going to end up having a lot of the same points, or at least one of the same main points. But let me just start with a question to help me frame this a little bit better. Is a lot of what you're showing to some people a new concept, like a new way of doing it, or is it something that's kind of already established they're trying to improve on?
So it's a newer concept, but most of them have seen it already in different interpretations. So because there are already tools like ours. We're just probably, as I said, one thing we do is better team collaboration, and it's just more intuitive. Since those are the things we kind of focus on when designing it. So yeah, they definitely have seen it before. And the example of like reverse engineer or forward engineer, they would usually do it manually or like literally just draw on a piece of paper. And then here we're doing it on all online. So that's the main difference. So it's like an existing concepts, we're just digitalizing it.
Yes, that absolutely, that's what I was looking for. And again, like I know you mentioned that there's like some inbound requests that you're getting that are already using the free trial and they want to move to the paid version versus the pure outbound. Like to me, those are just completely separate buckets, because one of them you might already like, they're already kind of warmed up to the concept and they kind of know a little bit more, and you might know a little bit more about what they're doing already versus somebody that's never met you before. So I think just like keeping those two things in mind, like which person are you talking to? And then like my specialty is basically in outbound prospecting and discovery. Like that's what I do all day. I've sort of been doing all day for like 2.5 years. So what the first thing that I think of is, one, are you getting the person to agree to a meeting, and then are you learning, how much are you learning about them before you go into the demo?
That's a very good question. Is it a question or more just a comment?
No, it's a question. Like I'm genuinely curious. Like, do you have a setup? You know, do you have a set of questions that you ask them, or do you have like any kind of discovery process? And I don't mean this in like a judgmental way. I'm just curious, like what your process is before I give you any advice. You know,
absolutely. So, it is indeed. I first send them like kind of an overview document that kind of with like some diagrams already showing like what the tool is all about. And honestly, what it boils down to, if they understand what our description tells them and what our screenshots show, then they're like, oh yes, let's talk, I want to see it in action. And then if they don't, they're just like, well, I'm not sure why I would use this, and then we just never talk. But then the ones that are getting it from and plus I do include a link already in my outreach. Like if we started talking, I'll tell them, well, here's the product, you can actually try it, let me know your thoughts, and if this sounds interesting, I'd like to talk to you more and kind of see if it would apply. So yeah, there is, I would say 90% of time there is a conversation before we jump into like having a call or having a Zoom meeting. So yes, definitely. The pathways of discovering and like asking questions, again, still in the works, still developing. Usually what I do is, I said, send them documentation, send them a link to try themselves. But maybe there are things I could do better. Maybe there are questions I could just ask them, or I don't know if there's like a better way to do that.
Yeah. And again, like I don't have the technical information to like tell you what those questions should be or how you should set that up, but just in general from the sales process, it's like, if if you can help me build a business case as to why this is going to be useful, even if it's like the end user, even if it's somebody that's lower in the org chart, it's like, what can this do for me right now, and cut out everything else. That's the way that you're going to get things to convert at the highest clip. Where, you know, my general feedback was that the demo you gave, you obviously know how to use the product really well. You understand why it exists, and you understand what all the features are and what the benefits are. Like, that's obvious. But I thought that the demo was also like just very feature heavy. It was just like feature, you know, these are all the features, this is what we do. And then kind of like just brought me through all that. And maybe, you know, if it's on a live call and you already knew something about the person, it could have been a little bit different. And maybe you're just trying to show us all this stuff. But in general, the way that I would try to construct this, and take all my advice with a grain of salt, please. But the way that I would try to construct this is to like suss out of the person, what are you doing with your business that I could help you improve on, and then get to those points and then stay right there. And you know, some of the other stuff, like, you'll get to it if they ask a question, or they'll find it. But the thing that's going to make them buy something is if there's like a particular problem that they're having that you can address, and then you address it in front of them, and then you just stay right in those zones.
Got it.
I mean, I'll let Amy weigh in on that. Does that sound right at all? I know you have like way more IT experience than I do, but does that sound right?
Yeah. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. So Anna, my main advice to you would be segregate your audience. So this would be fine for a data analyst, DBA, a data scientist, an architect. It's hyper technical. They're going to get it and they're going to eat it up. They're going to love, like, yeah, let's do the tech. But when you're taking this same demo and putting it in front of, let's say, a VP of IT, the VP of database, okay, they may not have any technical, like, or they'll have some technical knowledge, but they're not necessarily inside the product, right?
Yeah, they're not the one using it at the end of the day, right?
But they're the ones writing the checks. They're the ones that are going to route this up the chain. So if they have the buy-in from the technical team, great. That's one part of it. But you also have to sell them on what pains are you solving for their company? What business initiatives are you addressing? Are you going to save them money? Are you going to improve the process and make this more efficient for the database team? What are the inherent problems with the way that they're currently modeling their database that would encourage them to purchase a product like yours? I do the same thing essentially, but on the performance analytics side of the house. So there's tools out there that they're using currently, right? I mean, that we know that, you know, that they're using databases, and there's other tools, there's competitors of yours out there as well. You're like the newer, hipper, you know, modern version of tools that are already out there.
Pretty much.
Right.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to kind of, one thing that I would say is, like, for your demo, start out on the website, slow down just a little bit when you're first on that website. Take some time to come up with some really cool stories. And as you're going down the website, like, focus on one or two just really fun stories. Like, talk to your technical team, find out some use cases that they've experienced from other customers you're working with. And slow down there a little bit and kind of get in a groove when you're on the website before you transition to the technical demo, especially if you're talking to an executive or like more of the decision maker on the business side of the IT world. Those guys want to know who you're working with. Do you have street cred? You know, are you going to give them some sort of return on investment? Those types of situations. So, and as you being the single lone salesperson, right, you're going to have to wear all those hats. You're going to have to be the technical, you know, analyst and guide them through the database like you just did with us and show them those features. But you're also going to have to sell them on the value of why they need to buy the product from you. And then when you're within the demo itself, be a little bit more confident in, like, what you know, like, be proud of it. like use some stories. I mean, you've got a really great personality. You were making like some comments like, you know, that it's newer and modern and things like that. But then you also made some comments like, this is my favorite database, and, you know, pull that in. And when you're walking them through the features, tell them why this feature is important. Like you did that in one area where you were talking about making the changes, the comparison, the compare feature between what was changed and why that would be important. Go into detail a little bit more on the why. Why is this particular setup and the function and the feature that you're pinpointing, why is it important for that customer? What problem is it going to solve? So, and you can make these up, right? These don't have to be like
real story. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Just make it up and be like, we had one customer that, you know, they had some inner problems with change management within their database structure, and they were making changes and they couldn't really track those changes, or no one was saving the code, or, you know, whatever it may be. But use that to justify why that feature is so freaking awesome. And you will blow people away on your demos if you do that, because you've already got the personality and the product is really cool. So that's kind of what I would say is as far as like the whole, like kind of the flow of the presentation is slow it down a little bit and make it more personal, make it, you know, fun and interesting and kind of hook them in. But otherwise, I think that you guys, I mean, kudos to you. You know what I mean? Like you're wearing a lot of hats. That's not easy. And so you've picked up on the technical side of it really well. I think now it's the storytelling side. It's the sales side that you really need to hone, and you're right there.
The only last thing that I don't think I got out the first time was just that I was getting to the discovery questions. Like you want to be able to build out those discovery questions, but the way that you want to build them is that you want to work backwards from those business cases that Amy was talking about, so that once you have the thing that you solve, you ask them the question like, hey, has it ever been a problem that you couldn't track the changes that were made in a database? And then when they say, yep, it's like, bingo,
I love that.
I know what to show you. And you're just working back from those things and asking the questions up front. That's going to lead you into, you know, which parts to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. Gosh, like I can't get the light to work. Does anyone have a product they can sell me for this? I feel like I'm in a dark dungeon, and I'm like trying to like, let's have it. There we go.
I got this at Target for literally for $3, and it's a clip-on light, and I turn it on so that
I'm just gonna lay on my desk. Light.
You should have used one of those free backgrounds that kind of.
Right.
Oh yeah.
At the beach in the back, the cruise ship. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I digress. All right, Francois, you're in the hot seat.
Well, I think everybody gave Anna some great feedback, so I'm probably going to piggyback on a few of them. So, I mean, I had it just on some bullet points here. Case study, like at the beginning. So, like, I think it was Amy that was saying, like, as you're scrolling down, you know, just say, like, we did this for Wayfair, or Wayfair had this problem, or they got 20 people. And, you know, I don't want to, you know, Amy, I don't disagree that you can, like, be creative, AKA lie. But, you know, I think I think in that case you got to be careful, because then they might be like, oh, I got a friend at Wayfair, I'm going to call them. They're like, no, we don't have 400 people using this tool. Like that's
it's like two people, and we just
that's where you can say, oh, we worked with a top 3, you know, bank, U.S. bank or something.
For sure.
Yeah, no, I feel that.
But I think Patrick, and I think even Zach, I mean, like ultimately you kind of want to, like, I mean, people just love stories, right? So I think, you know, it's almost like adding that credibility right out of the gate. So I mean, confident in your demo, there's no question there. But I think, you know, for me, I think one of the takeaways is, you know, I think you have probably 2 or 3 demos, like Patrick was saying. Are they coming in a little bit like, I'm not really sure, versus I've already done the demo, like you just need to sell this to me now, like really just convince me. And then and maybe that third audience is a bit more of a business one. But, you know, when I was looking at your website, I mean, I don't want to say that the product doesn't look expensive, but, you know, I look at $70 a month for 4 users. You know, that's under $1,000 in a year. My guess is, like, the data architect can expense that. Like, you're not having to go through some budgeting process.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, the larger the deals, the higher you're going to go. And like, when it's a deal that size, the technical, the technical analyst can go and get budget from his manager, you know? So
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing you could probably try to use, I didn't realize like how inexpensive it was, but that's like, there's a really good value there. So you can start to piece together how many hours are you spending on the things that I can do to save, and then talk about how much money that costs versus what yours costs. And it becomes a very, very easy calculation. Once you start asking the questions about how much time they're spending on doing X, Y, and Z, and then they see the price tag, it's like, you don't even have to say anymore. They've already got it.
Well, and that's where I was going to go with, maybe before you dive into the tool, when you're looking at logos, you could talk about whoever it is. Maybe they're not on the screen, but this team used to spend X amount of hours doing it, whatever, on paper. And so those, like you're basically helping them justify the cost on the fly. I liked your analogy of Asana for code. So I think any other kind of analogies, which, whatever you want to call them, micro stories, are helpful. Because someone might be going like, I still don't really get this. I liked that you kind of went in right away and were able to demo right away. So you basically just proved, like, I'm showing you the demo now, like getting this thing going is not hard.
Right.
And I'd say again, like the time saving one is just, as soon as you can basically, prove out that story, prove out that ROI, that's really going to resonate. So I think the case studies is really important though. Just, like, and they don't have to be, War and Peace. I mean, it's, this company used it and now, 4 people have this much more time, or this company, has this many less issues, whatever it is that, is going to resonate with that audience.
Yeah. Like soft and hard costs, right? So you may not be able to put a defining number on the hard cost of what you guys have like saved company X.
It's an estimation, right?
Right. But you can come up with a lot of really cool soft costs, like the time efficiency, improving that, the cross team communication, the capturing the code so things aren't getting lost in translation and change management. I mean, basically make bullet points of all the things that you can do to improve their current process. And those right there are your soft cost optimizations, right? That's what you're going to benefit that team. And then you can kind of roll that into like, okay, hard cost savings. There may not be a hard cost savings, honestly, outside of improving efficiency, improving the way they access the information in their database and things like that. So, but I agree, like, come up with some bullet points and maybe even have 1 or 2 slides or something on your website that shows these are the pains or issues we solve. These are the gains that you can get from using our software. And it could be like 3 bullet points, 3 bullet points of pains, 3 bullet points of gains. Like, this is what you can gain from us. And incorporating that into your presentation is going to be a big deal, because a lot of times people want to know, like, okay, how can you help me? And they love the technical side of it, but they can't justify a purchase if it doesn't solve some problem. So driving that problem home, like, they may not even realize that they have a problem. And, but you can identify that really quickly for them.
That's why I was asking too in the beginning about how much do they already know about this? Is this a new concept or not? Because, if you're trying to educate them, it's kind of a different conversation than if they already know the solution, and that, yours is like, you've got the light and dark view. It's kind of like Facebook, like all those points make a lot more sense, but to Amy's point, like those bullet points, like anything that you can get around time saving and like just build out the cost that way, because then the conversation is very, very different. Then the conversation is like, look, we're going to just do the math together here. This is how much time you're spending right now. It doesn't make any sense for you to continue to do it that way when there's an option for you to pay to save that time, and you're going to make yourself money. Like it's a very different kind of pitch versus like, look at this thing that's flashy and everybody else is doing, and let me convince you to buy it.
Yeah.
That's a different, they're just 2 very different paths. And I think the first one where you're saving the money is like, it's a lot easier to sell that way.
Yeah. Feature selling versus value selling, right? So feature selling is like, hey, look at all these cool features.
Right.
Okay, great. How does that help me? They're cool features, but, and especially technical people, they're not always thinking about the business side. at all. They're like, oh, those are cool features. But when it comes to actually go ask for money, and their boss is like, okay.
So you just
cool.
want the features?
Yeah. It's cool. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
That's a toy, but they can't say, boss, this is why. And so helping them build basically that business case, like through this demo process, will make your job a lot easier, because you'll spend less time on the sales process from discovery to, you're sending your emails, giving them that link for the little demo site, doing this demo. You're going to save time because you're going to constantly be doing what we call discovery and building that business case that person can take to their boss or their boss's boss to get the check signed.
Exactly. Yeah. And to Amy's point too, this is something I picked up at the Flip the Script event in Seattle. The Yeti, like this Yeti cooler, right? Like the reason why I got it is not because it has like the polycore inner lining or anything like that. It's because it keeps my drink cold. That's why I bought it. Right. So like, don't tell me don't give me the actual weapon, give me the superpower. What does it help me do better? And I don't know, I don't know how to do that for you in particular, but that was something.
Well, do you remember last week, Amy, when we were on that call, the one fellow said, you don't want to be Luke Skywalker. You want to be Yoda. So you want your client to be the hero. So you want to help them. And so that they go to their boss and be like, I can do all these things and save us money.
Yeah.
And you're just like giving them the lightsaber.
Yeah. And Zach, do you have anything to add?
I love that analogy. It made me laugh. It's so perfect now. No, just echoing everything you all said. Bring up the challenges, bring up why it's of value to the customer. All of that just really hits home.
Yeah, and I think Anna, again, hats off to you. I think what I would say moving forward is, and we've kind of been working with Gil and some of the other people that have been on 5onFriday, kind of following up. Go take an hour to re-script everything. Assign a time frame. Okay, I'm going to spend 3 minutes scrolling down the website, and I'm going to, those whys, you're forgetting, like you said, you were forgetting the why. Map it all out and just run it through until it's really natural to you. And all of those stories that you kind of come up with to explain different features and kind of add on kind of the color commentary is what I like to say. And just sit in front of your laptop and record yourself running through a demo. Just you and your script, and mess up and, say some corny jokes. And if you're like, oh, that's corny to me, use it because people like corny. And it makes you more human. Yeah. And watch yourself. Yeah. And because I think that you know the technical side of it so well. And it's a fairly affordable product, right? So it's not going to break anyone's bank.
Yeah, it truly is. Yeah.
So that's a plus going for you right there, because you can have really short, quick sales cycles because of that. And I think, all you need is the color commentary. That's all you need. And you'll kind of knock this out of the park, is kind of getting in that flow of selling the pain, selling the gain, giving them some color and some cool customer use cases. And then just working on the flow of your demo so that it's really just natural and fun and kind of fits your personality.
I want to give Anna a chance to I don't know, take the feedback or ask us anything too, because I know we've just been talking at her for the past
No, thank you. And the main, I guess, kind of the main reason for me to do it, and then as I mentioned, right, this is pretty small but fast growing company, and that's why they just have those bunch of technical guys and then Anna, and so they're the ones who taught me the demo. This is how they've been doing it, just like showing features, and that's what I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do that and add my sales pitch to it. But then, and that's the thing of like, I've been, when I was working with different other products, right, you would have like already a written down pitch or already a developed script or something. You just adopt it, change a little bit, tweak here, tweak there, and then run with it. Here, I'm going to be the person developing it and creating it from like what I did so far. And then that's what I'm forgetting, because I look at all of them and how they do the demo, and I'm like absorbing that, and then unconsciously copying that, while what I should do is like look at what they're doing now, process, respond, and then reframe it in with those cases and examples. And you guys are completely right, because that's the thing I'm completely forgetting as of today. And I also they have such a long list of features on the calls. They try to run through all of them, and then I was trying to do the same, but today I did only half of them, and then I'm thinking, well, maybe I don't need to run through all of those features. Maybe I don't know.
No,
This is,
you have to find the 2 or 3 that matter, and then
to them.
Yeah.
Like put a feature list or something up. Like if you can create a slide,
so like
with all
write
your
all
features.
of them down. Yeah.
Yep. And like, and then at the very beginning of the demo, you can say, okay, well, we can help with all of these areas. And these are some of, you can say, like, what we do is we flash up a screen that says, a lot of our customers are experiencing these issues. And then we say, out of all of these issues, which ones resonate with you the most? Like, where are you experiencing the most pain? And they'll say, oh, well, that feature, this feature. And you could do the same thing, but just with features. Like these are, we have like this huge category of features. Is there something that's standing out to you more that right now you need to improve your process on? And let them guide you through the demo, and you can show them the 3 or 4 features that are most important to them. And then the rest of it is just like an added bonus. And that way you're not like featuring them to death on features that they're like, because you may have a data analyst that his job is this, but this guy over here is the one that actually would need to see this other feature. So
it only makes your job harder if you're talking about features that don't pertain to them, because they get bored, and then it's harder to reel them back in. And like, I think the classic line is like, don't sell past the sale. Find the 2 or 3 things that matter and just stay right there. And you can, get more out of them, and then figure out what they might be interested in that they don't know about or something. But if they're already pretty familiar with it, it's like, either the going back and forth between the tables and code, or, tracking all the change management, like whatever it is, like just figure that out and then talk about that. They don't have to know every corner of the platform.
And you can do that in pre-discovery too. Some of those kind of back and forths that you have before they actually jump on the demo. You can kind of get them to nail down, like, I call it an agenda, or I actually have a slide that says what's most important to you. And when I'm on a demo, it's like, hey, I heard that these things are really what are going to make the most difference in your organization. And then I demo around those issues. And that may be a little harder because you're kind of getting these people in pretty quickly, I think, from the sounds of it.
Yeah, it's very short, and I know that like product, it's not my, like, I'm not selling them a multi-million-dollar software.
Right. Yeah.
It's just like that little piece, and then it's just they see it, they like it, and they go with it. So like, I'm like, how do I streamline that? Like, do I spend like literally like 15 minutes with them on the call and then like let them run with it? Or do I just prepare more beforehand and like, give them like a set of questions or set of scenarios?
Try it both ways. Do an A/B test. Okay. Like 1 week, do it this way, right? Demo, presenting a preformed script and like kind of bringing those questions in at front. What are features are most important for you, and that sort of thing, and see how those demos go. And out of those demos, how many move forward. And then the next week, do it a little bit different and maybe do more of a self-guided demo, like you suggested there, and letting them kind of walk you through like what, features like on the fly. So you either do like practice a hyper scripted version of it, where you're controlling the pace and the flow of the demo, and maybe a slight customization on what features they want to look at, and then try it different. Try it where it's more of a conversation and a back and forth, and you're jumping around the database, showing them different features based on like, oh, well, what is that? And, oh, can you tell me more about that? Because, and just see what gives you more success. I have a feeling, you'll probably find a little bit more success because you need this to be very succinct to do a little bit more of a scripted based demo. And finding out a couple things that matter most to them and really drilling in on those features, as opposed to a slow rambling demo, because that for what you're doing, I think that might be maybe a little bit overkill.
Over the board. Yeah.
But try it, do an A/B test, do it
You should
one
be
way
able
for
to,
a week. And
within 5 minutes of the call, you should be able to figure out the stuff that, I mean, once you've got the use cases drilled down, it shouldn't take too long to figure out like what's going to be relevant to them, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And if it helps, I'll send you some notes afterwards, Anna, on just kind of, pains and gains, use cases.
Please. Yes. Yes.
And I can send you some slides and stuff that I've used to kind of help build out like how I explain like the technical pains and gains for my customers. And it's going to be a lot different, but I mean, I work on DB2 databases, so I get it. And then what I would say is, if you want, like, jump back on a call with us and run through it again.
Yeah, like Amy said, we've offered up to some of the other folks, like, let's do kind of like the Bachelor or Survivor, 6 months later, that nice reunion story, and you tell us about how you're, driving a Rolls Royce now, and
right.
Yeah,
definitely.
Well, I mean, certainly a month later, I would love to see what the evolution looks like, and then another month after that, like, or and just check in and keep up with you. I think that would be really cool.
Totally.
Yeah.
How's everybody doing for time? I know we're just a little bit over. I'm happy to keep chatting, but I know people probably have schedules. We can keep talking, or does anybody need to jump?
I have to jump. I have to go. I've got to pack for my cruise.
Yeah, well,
all right,
I'm in vacay mode.
Well, so. Thanks everybody for jumping on. I mean, I think we can wrap it up, but I'll stop the recording now.